traffic tonight. But Sally Lou, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this to make sure that I've got my PowerPoint. And can you all see my PowerPoint?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So, and you can all hear me. Thank you, Tiara, Destiny Reed. I can't thank you enough for inviting me into the circle, the safe space where together we are helping each other out, like you said, exchanging the tools. I have so many tools to offer, and I very much am excited to take the tools that you offer me when we get to the Q&A. Tonight I speak on matters of the heart, and my company is Love Speaks. When something you love speaks to you, do it. That would be, I think that's clear to everybody that has joined, which is a wonderful, beautiful gift that we give to ourselves when we recognize the things that we do well and that we love, and we do them. I'm going to start with a prayer because I know that's how this works. And yesterday, was it? Yeah, yesterday I was in church and with my mom and my husband. We were in Philadelphia, and for all of you, I live in Chicago. I'm in New York working at NBC for freelance work, and my family's all here. So I've been blessed with a lot of wonderful time with them. And a lot of my pain that I've suffered in the last 6 years, but have extremely grown from, and we'll just talk about it throughout tonight, really comes from my husband. And it was my husband who said to me after our church service, he looked at me and he said, this lesson from St. Francis, by the way, my husband's Jewish, but FYI, sitting in church, this prayer from St. Francis is perfect for you for tomorrow night to share with your community. So this is a story that I say to you because sometimes even the people that bring you pain can also be the ones to help with your healing. So we'll get to that in a bit. But first, let me just say this. Lord, make us instruments of your peace. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is discord, union. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. Grant that we may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, and to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. And so I say to you tonight, that not once in that prayer was there a word of healing. And yet it's exactly what it speaks to, with faith and light and joy and understanding and pardoning. It's and giving. It to me, that's what it takes to heal. So I start with that. And it meant a lot to me that my husband said, I think you should share that. So okay, so here we go. My lesson tonight is called Speak Your Story, Heal Your Pain. And Tiara just really said it so beautifully that when we share our stories, we are literally exchanging tools. And I love that. I really, really love that. I've never heard it said that way. So I really love that. Listen, we all have pain. It's just different levels of it. And it's just a matter of how we tolerate pain. And pain can be big, pain can be small. But no matter what the size is or how we handle it, we are all invested in healing. And maybe your pain or my pain comes from loss or betrayal from someone we love, or a failed relationship, or health problems, or feeling like we've not achieved what we wanted to achieve, or just our current circumstances of how and where we're living. Our stories are absolutely never the same. But the beautiful piece that we can take away from our pain is that someone else's story, whatever it may be, will help us with our own healing. And our story can help others with their healing. So I have found that story is the key to unlocking our healing. When we speak our stories, we connect with others. So much so that it's actually, there's scientific proof that storytelling makes us better humans. So when we are telling our story, we are not only connecting with others and helping others heal and helping ourselves heal, we are being better humans. But I also understand that not everybody can speak their story. It's not always that easy. But we are reminded that when we do hear our stories, that we are in it together. It makes us remember that we're not alone. And so I recently wrote a book that will be published in February of 2020. And the title of the book is Speak. Love your story, your audience is waiting. And it is how I use my story to help others tell their story, become better speakers, and be better humans. Because I'm perfect. Insert the laugh. No, it's very self-deprecating and funny. It's a fun read with lots of great takeaways, a lot of celebrity stuff. It's really fun. Lots of Oprah throughout because she is the greatest human I've ever met. But there are 2 chapters that speak to pain and healing. And those are the chapters that resonate with me the most. They are the chapters that I am most proud of. They are the work I am most proud of. And as you know, I worked for Oprah, so that's saying a lot. So we'll get to that. And in addition to story, which is why I joke a lot, is laughter. I really believe that laughter is always my route to healing, and I hope it is used with others, because if I'm not laughing, I'm not healing. Even in the worst of situations, I find a way to laugh. And I hope that we will all have some laughs tonight as we move through this work. I will share with you before we get started that last month I stood up in front of 130 people and I did my first stand-up comedy act. I've been saying I want to do stand-up for, I don't know, 10 years. I was the audience producer for the Oprah Winfrey Show, so I was always in front of an audience, and I did a lot of improv while I was speaking to the audience. I would not ever call myself a stand-up comedian, but it was something I really wanted to do, and I believe that when we have a dream and we don't do it, it's just going to eat at us until we do it. And it was eating at me, and it came to me. I found a workshop. The workshop came to me because I kept talking about wanting to do this. And as I said in a recent blog, I didn't do stand-up to become a stand-up comedian. I did stand-up to help me be a better speaker, a better storyteller, a better human. And I really, truly believe that when we not only do something that we've always wanted to do, it just catapults us into doing more of what we do really well. And it also, for me, helps with my healing. So what we're going to do now is get into, let's see if this works. Please work. Why isn't it working? I don't know why it's, oh, there it is. Okay. So we all want to be better humans and heal whatever pain that we encounter in our lives. So here are my top 10 Love Speaks lessons for lasting results. And number 1 is speak. So I say speak your story, because our voices are powerful. Our stories are powerful. So I ask you, what is your story? And where does your story of pain come from? Can you name it? Can you share this story with a trusted friend or family member or professional? Or are you able to share your story with an audience? Speaking your story out loud, it's a start to your healing. And once we speak our story of pain is no longer something that we're keeping to ourselves, which is what gives us the power to heal. Being free of holding something that causes us pain allows for the healing to begin. And sharing our story is always helpful to someone else, which is the key to healing. So 6 years ago, I experienced a lot of pain in my marriage. There was a betrayal. And today, my husband and I continue to be on a path for healing. And when I speak about the pain that I experienced to women in small circles like tonight, I feel them and see them lean in. We've all had betrayals, whether it's in a marriage or in a friendship, in family, wherever it is, there has been betrayals in our life. And no matter how heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching those betrayals can feel, through the work that my husband and I have been doing, or just simply the work I've been doing, I have seen God at every corner. I have seen his healing, and I have seen his hand reach out to me. So I ask you, what is the source of your pain? And who is your trusted friend that you can share or speak your story with? I know that there's a work document that you guys can have or get later, but each one has a space for you to write down. So if you don't have the document, you can jot this down. And it's a really important piece to speaking your story. If you don't know the source, now I know everyone has a story, but we're talking about healing tonight. So I'm talking about your story of pain. And so if we don't know the source of our pain, then we can't get to it. And sometimes you have to go deep into under all the layers to get there. And that's not easy. That might take therapy. That might take time. I've seen it happen with my own husband. I've knocked on his door saying, like, of his soul, and saying, there's more, there's more, there's more. And I wouldn't stop until I said, there is something there that needs to be uncovered. And we did it. We got to it. Took 6 years. And he is better for it. It was very painful. I know I will be better for it as well. When someone doesn't act like themselves, you know that there's pain there. So maybe that's you. Maybe it's someone in your life. But when someone starts acting out of character, like I said, it could be you. That is a sign that there is pain. And that pain, if you can get to the source of it and speak about it, you are on your road to recovery and freedom. The second piece is in healing is writing. Writing is one of the most powerful ways to heal because you're putting your thoughts and feelings down on paper and you're giving them life, and it's validating to you, and it gives you, there's no one that can deny it, basically. There's no one that can deny what you write. These are your words. This is your story. It's your job to write your story. And once those words are written, just like once words are spoken, the healing begins. For me, I started writing my book, and I originally said, I want to help heal others, help heal myself. And I said that, but what I didn't really know is that it actually would happen. During this course of healing that I've been on for 6 years, there have been times where it's been really rough. There have been really beautiful times, but really hard times. If I didn't have the book I was writing, and trust me, I have a lot of support. I have a lot of family, my children, my siblings, my friends, my in-laws, everyone. But if I didn't have that book to write, I don't know what I would have done. There were times where I would say, I don't have anywhere else to turn. Yes. Would I speak to God? Yes. Did I go to church? Yes. Did I have support? Yes. but I turned to my computer and I wrote my story. And I started to write it really just as a professional thing. But what it ended up happening is it was a way of healing me. So the simple act of writing is what gave me my power back. It actually made me want to heal. Even my stand-up comedy act that I wrote that 5 years ago. I didn't perform it until last month. That gave me a reason to want to heal. Your story is a gift to yourself and to your family. It does not have to be a book. It just needs to be loved and shared. And again, if you don't want to share it, that's up to you. It can be your journal. It can be a notebook filled with your thoughts. It can be letters that you never send. However you choose to write your story, it will serve you in your healing. And I am in deep gratitude to anyone who cares enough to read my story, my book eventually, because it means that the person reading it is invested in their own. So I say to anyone who's willing to write their story, those that will read it are invested in their own and probably writing their own as well. So the next practice is for you to write the part of your story that requires healing. It will help you get to where you want to go, and you don't have to share it. It can just be for you. Number 3 is to plan. We're all planners, right? We're doers. We do things. We make plans every single day for what we have to accomplish. But let's make a plan for our healing. Because now that you've spoken your pain out loud, maybe you've shared it, or you've spoken it, or you've written it privately to yourself, now it's the time as you can actually make a plan to heal. So writing a plan down makes healing real. It makes you accountable, and it makes you able to track the work that you are committing yourself to. So your plan can include many, many things. For instance, confronting someone who brought you pain, or finding a support group, or eliminating people or places that make your pain worse. And then adding in things to invest in yourself, like taking a class. Like I just took a Reiki healing class, and I am now able to practice Reiki on my friends and family. I'm a level 1 Reiki master. I did that for me. Doing something brave. I did stand up. I did that for me. Practicing mindfulness. I do it every day. Connecting with people who make you feel joy. Spending time in nature. Traveling, like you all just did, many of you did, to South Africa. Reading, listening to music, making your living space a healing space. These are all things we can do to invest in ourselves, and they all bring us closer to healing. Doesn't mean that it takes it away, it just makes it better. So no matter how busy I am, I always make time for myself. If I skip prayer, I feel an immediate disconnection with myself. If I skip meditation, I'm chasing it all day. If I skip a workout, I'm okay, but I miss it and I get to it the next day. I never skip hair color. That's every 4 weeks. And I never skip therapy. So I ask you to design your plan and make it yours. You absolutely deserve a plan for healing. As long as you can name it, speak it, and write it, you can plan to move past it. Number 4 is decide. With regards to pain, if it's from a relationship, and this is the part that Tiara Destiny Reed, I have to say her whole name, and I really sort of had fireworks with when we had a conversation. The piece of my story that's universal is that we always know when a relationship is worth fighting for and when it's not, even with its flaws. We all wear scars. We all know if the scars are worth the work or not worth the work. And so that's up to us to decide if the relationship that has brought us pain is worth the work. I ask you not to waste a single minute of your time when you know that relationship is not worth fighting for, but to fight for it when you know that it is. Now, the key is that both parties have to be willing to do the work, because if one door is closed, that work will never, ever be successful. And even when both doors are open, the work will not be smooth. It will be hard and it will be rocky. Setbacks are guaranteed. If the setback moves you forward, then the work is worth it. But if a setback repeatedly moves you backwards, then the decision is made for you. And I'm not just talking about love relationships. I'm talking about any relationship that you have that has caused you pain. So my husband and I are committed to doing the work. It isn't always pretty. It isn't always easy, which is why I said it's called work. But if I felt for one moment that he wasn't committed to the work, we wouldn't be married. And if he felt I wasn't committed to the work, again, we wouldn't be married. We see a holistic marriage therapist, and our therapist believes that we are doing divine work. I'm very grateful that we have him in our life. He has told us that we are here for our soul corrections, and there are days that I believe him, and then there are days where I say, Dr. G, I'll call him. I call him Dr. God, so I'll just call him that. I call him that in my book, so I'll just say, Dr. God, you're crazy. But I have seen God through every corner of our healing, like I said before. I'll share with you this story quickly. It was very soon after this betrayal was revealed to me, and I went on a run. I called them my Jesus runs. I ran to Lake Michigan every morning, saw the sun come up, and the lake is just my healing waters. And so out on the lake, I saw 5 sailboats. I think I told this to Tiara. And they were sailing together like in a pack. And then they capsized all at once. And then they came up. And then they capsized. And they came up. And I'm looking at this like, what is going on? It looked like Swan Lake. But then I realized, oh, it's a sailing class. Okay, I get it now. But what hit me so hard in that moment was that my family of 5 would fall down, and we would come up again. And we would fall down, and we would come up again. But if we were committed to the work, we would stay afloat. And it was in that moment where I said, I'm going to be okay. And I just knew God was behind it. So God will lead us to our plan, but it's up to us to see it, to accept it, and to stick to it. So decide what is best for you, and ask yourself, what would your life look like being free of that relationship that brings you pain? And if your answer is yippee, you know your answer. And if your answer is, you know what, I think it's worth it and I got to get through this pain, again, you know your answer. Number 5 is to tell the truth. The truth to yourself and to others who have brought you any kind of pain. It's so easy for us to keep truth from ourselves and from others because we cope with pain because sometimes it's all we know. It becomes a learned behavior. But I ask you to sit down and talk to yourself and tell yourself the truth. Tell yourself the truth of what you are feeling. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to a trusted friend. The truth always sets us free. Once you have the confidence and the strength to walk in your truth, share your truth with whoever has brought you pain. I'm not saying that you are keeping truth from people in your life, but if you are keeping truth from yourself, you actually are. So I ask, if you are confident enough with being able to be truthful with yourself, be truthful with the people that need to know this truth. And if you feel trapped, that you can't speak your truth, that you think there is no way out, that you have to suffer and keep it to yourself, there's always a better option. There's always an open door, and there's always someone out there to help you. It's like what our minister always says, Sunday's coming. It's like you can start over. Sunday's coming. We are humans. We are not perfect. and we do things that are wrong, and people do things to us that are wrong. But we don't have to keep those stories harbored in secret. We can tell the truth, and we can ask for healing. Ask God for healing, ask others for healing, ask yourself to allow yourself to heal. Do not suffer alone. I have seen firsthand what happens to people who don't tell the truth. I see a darkness that comes over them, and they start to look different, and their energy isn't healthy. And the truth is that truth is sexy. It's powerful. And women, here we are. We talk so much about our beauty and our health and what we look like and our hair color. But the truth is there's nothing more beautiful than truth. It's better than Botox. Like, truth is beautiful. And Tiara Destiny Reed, I'll quote you, says, with healing comes clarity, with clarity comes strength. So if something doesn't make sense to you, that's your intuition telling you that something's not right, that there is some truth that is not being shared. So listen to that voice and heal whatever it is that doesn't make sense. Find clarity. That is where you will find your strength. That's when you'll heal. So what truth are you keeping from yourself? And what do you need to, who do you need to tell the truth to in order to ease your pain? Forgiveness. Forgiveness is not about accepting what the person did as okay. We know that. It's about letting go so that the past doesn't hold us prisoner. So I ask you to give yourself the gift of forgiveness. It's a gift of self-love. And maybe it's a gift that you need to give yourself, that you need to forgive yourself, or maybe you forgive someone who's brought you pain. It's a gift that allows you to keep being who you are without having to give up a piece of your identity. And I say this, and I'll say it again because I love this. Forgiveness is a gift that allows us all to keep being who we are without having to give up a piece of our identity. It is okay to forgive, and it doesn't mean that you are settling or that you are any less of who you are because you have said it's okay. It means you are strong enough to say, I am going to let this go because I am not going to be a prisoner. Nobody wants to be a prisoner. That is no way to live a life. Being yourself is one of the greatest single assets a person can have. And that is why forgiveness is so important, because you get to still be yourself. For me, I work on forgiveness every day, and there's so many voices in my head that are reminders of my pain. It's constant. And sometimes I feel like an air traffic controller trying to land all the noise and to put it in a place where I don't have to listen to it. I mean, do not get me wrong. I don't deny the pain. I don't deny the truth. But in order to function as a healthy woman, I need to put some of my thoughts in time out. They're not crazy thoughts. They might sound crazy, but they're real. And I've said some crazy thoughts out loud to my husband, to my therapist, to others. And sometimes people look at me, even my therapist, like I'm crazy. But then the thoughts that I've said actually happen. So I never, ever, ever doubt my thoughts. And I will never think of myself as crazy. But I do try to land my crazy thoughts safely. I am looking forward to a time when the thoughts that I have lessen and that I'm able to live in the moment more peacefully. And that's called forgiveness. And I'm sure that many of you are nodding your heads right now, because when we can really be in the moment and live more peacefully, that is truly when we can forgive. And so I ask you, is there someone that you need to forgive? And is that someone you? Number 7 is work. Healing is a full-time job. It does not have vacation days or time off. If you ease up on your work, your pain returns. So you've made your plan, right? You're speaking it, you're writing it, you're making a decision, you've made a plan. Some days may require more work than others, and that's okay. Work always moves us forward. But moving forward is different for everyone. We don't all move forward at the same pace. And I'll just make a joke with Kathy. She came back from Africa and completely changed her life. Quit her corporate job, started her own business, which is her passion. That's fast. Now, I know she told me the short story, or us the short story. This has been going on for years, I guarantee you. And there have been baby steps along the way that when she got back from Africa, she was ready to say, okay, I'm moving forward. So it's always different. You know, for me, I wanted to do stand-up comedy. It took me 10 years, but I was taking steps all the way. It's called momentum, and it's called work. So it's working towards your goal, working towards healing. It's the same. As long as you're moving forward is all that matters. Again, we don't all arrive at the dream we want or the healing that we deserve at the same time. It's just as long as we're moving forward. So you are the most important person on your list, the list that is being written right here on the clipboard. We often overlook ourselves as part of your plan. I ask you to invite new things into your life, doing new things, look for support, and make yourself a priority. If you're a mom, I understand that your children come first, but we can't be the kinds of mothers that we want to be without taking care of ourselves first. So we have to practice self-care in some way, even if it's at 3 a.m. We have to practice it. And Michelle Obama, who is my goddess, and I'm sure many of yours, my speaker hero and superwoman, she has a quote that I use in my book that says, we need to do a better job of putting ourselves higher on our own to-do list. But I'd like to challenge Michelle Obama. And I'd like to say, what if we didn't have to put ourselves on our to-do list? Because we are the list. Like, what if we decided that we are so good to ourselves that we don't even have to remember to make a list to do something for ourselves? What if it just becomes part of who we are, part of our being? So this question is more from your point of view. Remind yourself or myself that my healing work is gratifying and it makes me happy. What I enjoy most about my work is blank. You tell yourself, what is it that you enjoy most about your healing work? For me, let's see, I didn't even think to answer this question, but for me, what I love most about my healing work is that it gets me closer to God. I cry a lot from the pain, but I cry more about the joy. I cry more about the joy that I have discovered because it's brought me closer to God. And I can't explain it more than that. I think you all understand, but sometimes in the sadness, we see such beauty and you can't explain it, but you know it's there. Okay, number 8 is support. We can't do this alone. We can't heal alone. It's important to find a group of people who can help support us, people who speak our language, people who are empathetic to our pain and invested in our healing. These pictures that I'm sharing with you is my family in the middle, my soul sisters on the right, my Gia and my Mona, they worked with me at Harpo. And on the left is my sisterhood, a circle of some of my nieces, I think two of my daughters and some sisters. It's a mixture there. And this is really what is behind all of it. Without these key players in my life, and you fill in the blank for who your key circle and family and soul sisters are, we can't do it alone. It's no fun doing it alone. That's why we speak our stories, to share our stories. So I ask that you find that support in your close circle of friends and family, or support group, or therapist, or any combination thereof. When we are in pain, the people in our life are the people who are our people. They rise to the occasion. The people who aren't our people are the people who disappear. And it has happened to me. I didn't see it coming, but it happened to me. I've lost two friends of 30-year friendship from some of the stuff that I've been healing from. And I'm in the process of mourning that loss. It's unfathomable to me. But I have found that my people are just good people, and they're all I need. Our lives are messy, and they're not always going to be going on the track of where we think they'll go. But all I know is that I am still me. I haven't changed. If anything, I'm better than who I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And that's the point. Like I said earlier, I've had a lot of losses in the last couple years. Not even in comparison to so many people that I know. I'm still here. I can fix them. So that's all good. But I get to still be who I am, and I'm proud of that, no matter who brings me pain. Where do you find support, and do you need more? If the answer is yes, you need more, it's got to be your job to find it. It doesn't always come to us so easily. People don't always offer support. Sometimes you have to be really, really upfront with people and say, I need you to help me. I need support. I need you to help me find support. So not only do you want to speak your story to find healing, speak the fact that you need support when you need it. And then become a mentor. My favorite picture. Me and Oprah and my clipboard, my dream. If some of you know my story, maybe some of you don't, but when I was 14 years old, I visited a set on television, a television set in Philadelphia, my hometown. My mom took me to the taping of the Mike Douglas show, and while I was sitting in the studio audience, I spotted a girl on the set with a clipboard, and I didn't know what she did, but I knew in a moment that I would do whatever it was she was doing one day, and I knew television was going to be my profession. So right out of college, I got my first television job, and 2 years later, I started to work for Oprah because I happened to be in the same city she moved to. We moved at the same time, same year, same month, and I met her she came on the show that she came to the station where I was working for a news show, and 3 years later, I would work for her. And not only has Oprah been a mentor to me, but the girl with a clipboard, who I've never met, continues to be a huge role model to me and mentor, and I take her with me wherever I go. Mentorship is the greatest way to heal. It is what happens when women heal. Women supporting women is an enormous way to heal. When we help others heal, and we become a mentor, we use our stories and our lessons to help others. That helps us with our own healing. You all are teachers. Each one of you is a teacher. I'm a teacher. You're a teacher. Use your voice. You are powerful. becoming a mentor to someone is the ultimate act of healing. And I'm not just talking about being a mentor to someone professionally. I'm talking about being a mentor to someone emotionally. Helping other women who've gone through what I've gone through gives me purpose. If I can help one person, I've done my job. If I can help many, I will be very happy. The pain will be worth it. So your homework is to write about the power that you feel when you're helping others heal. And is there someone in your life who needs mentorship right now? Okay, last one, and then we get to some Q&A. Have a conversation with God, and you'll never feel alone. When we're in pain, sometimes we fear being alone. I know I do. When I was going through a rough patch just last 6 months ago, I said to my therapist, Carol, I said, I don't want this conversation to end because I don't want to go back to my pain. And that's when she said to me, when you are feeling scared and in pain and you fear that you are alone, have a conversation with God and you will never feel alone. Now, I talk to God all the time, but the way she said that made so much sense to me, and I've been doing it ever since. And I know it's true. And I know so many of you joining here tonight practice this already. But if we remind ourselves that when a conversation ends or we're by ourselves, if we just have a conversation with God, that's enough. That's more than enough. And it will fill us in a way that will take away our fear and help with our healing. 6 months ago, I went to one of my sacred spots. It's a park right on Lake Michigan. It's where we spread my dad's ashes there. Not all of them, because his service was in Philadelphia, where we grew up, and where he lived his whole life. But I wanted to have a piece of him close to me, so this is a park where we have our our summer morning church services, and it's right on Lake Michigan. And I go there on most Sundays to talk to my dad, but that day I went to talk to God and my dad, and I prayed, and I specifically said, send me a sign that's big enough that I can see it and feel it. And 6 hours later, I received an email from a woman who lives about 3 towns away, who, it's going to be hard for me to say this because I don't want to tell the whole story because it's in my book, but she had something from my childhood. Now, mind you, I lived in Philadelphia. This is Chicago. Something of my grandfather's. And it weighed 150 pounds. And it was in her yard because she bought the house that my grandparents sold. And it just happened to be down the street from me. And without explaining really what it was, I'm just telling you that it's 150 pounds. It's a keepsake that I, for 23 years, have been trying to get back in our family. And this woman emailed me 6 hours after I asked for something to see and feel. And there are 2 of them, 2 of these 150-pound things. And she said, I'd like to give you one. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can feel it and I can see it. And I thought to myself, so I'm getting 1 and not 2. There's huge terracotta urns that were in my grandfather's yard. And they were my home base. I'm telling you the story. They were my home base for every childhood game I ever played. And they ended up being down the street from me in Chicago because when the people sold their house, they moved and brought it with them. I'm really telling this convolutedly. I'm sorry. It's really well written in my book, I promise. But this urn came back to me. My husband was basically writing his new chapter because he was doing everything in his power to get this 150-pound urn back to me. And all I can say is I thought about it and I thought, well, I was really asking for 2, but I only got 1. So does that mean that I'm going to be okay myself and not with my husband? And then I said, you know what? It just means I'm going to be okay. I don't have to answer it all. I just know I'm going to be okay. And that's all that I can wish for. So what do you want to talk to God about? A terracotta urn? I don't know. All I know is between the sailboats and the urn and a lot of other stories that I share in my book, I see God in every bend and turn of my story. And I'm open to him, and I welcome the guidance and the glory and the magic into my life, because life is more full when you welcome that. So I will just end with my lessons for us all to help ease our pain and heal. To speak your story and name your pain. Write your story. Make a plan to heal. Decide what is best for you. Tell yourself and others the truth. Forgive whoever brought you pain and forgive yourself. Commit to your healing work. Find support. Be a mentor. And have a conversation with God. That is my lessons for this evening. I hope that something resonated with you. I can't wait to talk to you and get all of your questions and comments. Please follow me at Live Love Speaks, L-I-V-E Love Speaks on Instagram. It seems to be where I live the most. I'm also on Facebook at Live Love Speaks, but I love Instagram better for some reason. And I think I'm going to press the stop share, and that way I will be able to see all of you. And I think I'm back. Oh, there's 139 chats. I missed it all. Now I'm